Big Cat's worst 2021 season predictions. I've got a couple of my own that I'm afraid to mention because I know one of them has gone largely unnoticed, and I really don't want to remind the world of it, but I'll give you the first crack. What's your favorite prediction from the year that blew up in your face?
Okay, so I'll actually just go down the list because you're going to like all of these. These are very, very good. There's some really, really bad ones. Week 1, I said Jameis will have a career year. He got injured towards ACL. Whoops. Week 2, I said Joe Judge will be the first coach fired. Didn't happen. They actually almost held him onto him. Like, that was insane how long they held him on. Yeah, this one was right. I said Urban Meyer will only last 1 year. That was a good one.
That's good.
I said Matt Nagy.
He didn't last a year. You were wrong. You were wrong. He didn't last a year. So you were wrong.
That's true. I said Matt Nagy will be fired on Monday if the Bears lose. That was week 4. He was not fired. There's a couple Bears ones that I threw in there. Week 7 will go forward. Week 7, I said Deshaun Watson will be traded in the next 2 weeks. Very wrong. Week 8, I said the Bears will win this week. They lost to the 49ers by 10. I said week 9, Jordan Love will probably be a Hall of Famer. He then went out and just was terrible.
At least it was before the game that you said that, not after.
Yes. All right, flashing forward, I said Tom Brady looks like he'll be able to play till he's 50 in week 10. I said in week 11, Rams will be one and done in the playoffs.
That one's well, but you know what? At the time, that wasn't an unreasonable take.
Well, here's the thing. I can see it right now. There was a stretch here where I was trying to make heads and tails of the NFC and trying to figure out a way the Packers weren't going to be the representative from the NFC. Because I went in back-to-back weeks. I said the Rams will be one and done in the playoffs. The Cardinals will be the NFC 1 seed. They then lost like 3 out of 4. Then the next week I said the Bucs will be the NFC 1 seed. Then they lost that Sunday to the Saints 9-0. And then I went Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl matchup. Not true. And then I finished with Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl. So I just basically, every different week, I went with a different team from the NFC, and I never got it right.
When did you think that the Cowboys were actually going to win the Super Bowl? At what moment did that thought coagulate in your brain?
It was before the Washington football team beat down. It was so it was like somewhere around week, I don't know, 12, 13, somewhere in that range. And I was like, this team has everything. They have the defense. It was right when their defense got healthy, and I think it was actually when they played the Saints, or no, it was when they played the Chiefs. And I actually said to myself, they don't have any receivers, but their defense played really well. And remember, they held the Chiefs to 19 points. And I was like, 11. This team, it feels like they might be. And then I realized that I bet on Mike McCarthy. Yeah.
They got beat by the Raiders 4 days later. And that's, yes.
It's been, you can time it. Every time I say something about a team, like definitively, the next week something bad happens. I think I actually placed the bet. And then that I think I placed the bet at like 11 a.m. on the Sunday that Michael Gallup tore his ACL. It was like bang, bang.
First half of the Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship on Sunday when it was 21-3. And I intentionally included some wiggle room to protect myself. Thank you very much, Pete. Game's not over, obviously, but would be almost impossible for anyone to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs today from any era. I said game's not over. I said almost impossible. So the Bengals did Mike, the almost impossible.
Definitive. Be
I
definitive.
I was trying to protect myself.
Be definitive. I said before the Titans game, the Titans are going to absolutely demolish the Bengals. And then I said before the Chiefs game, I said the Chiefs are in a different class than the Bengals. I've been getting dragged left and right. That's part of the fun. I'm stupid. Sometimes I get it right.
During the game, you did thanks for coming out, Bengals, too.
Now that was on purpose. That was to help Bengals fans. So that tweet alone won the Chiefs the Super Bowl in 2019. So that tweet works.
Let me give you something from before the season, and I got to give you the context first. We and this was either my idea or I was fully on board with it. we did a draft on one of the Friday editions of PFT Live. Shireen Williams was on with me, and the draft was the teams that have no chance to make the playoffs. So, the first couple rounds were easy. Jaguars, Texans, Lions, right? Then you get to round 3, and it's like, did we really want to do a 3-round draft here? Because it started to get difficult. So my 3rd-round pick was the Bengals. No chance to make the playoffs. And hers was the Panthers. Hers was the Panthers. And she was very nervous in September about the Panthers. And then I got very nervous in October about the Bengals. And I'm still nervous. Although they've already made the playoffs. They may as well go ahead and win the Super Bowl. I guess I should finally pick them to win. I picked them to beat the Raiders, picked them to lose to the Titans, picked them to lose to the Chiefs. I picked them to lose 41-24 to the Chiefs.
Listen, I'm very happy that every year, my listeners know, I make a bet. It's got to be a team that was expected to make the playoffs. If they start 0-2 or might be 0-3, I bet my pinky. If the team wins the Super Bowl, I will cut off the tip of my pinky. This year, it was the Colts. I was very nervous. For that stretch in December, when they looked like the best team in the NFL, I was very, very nervous. The only time I've gotten that close or that nervous was the bet originated in, I think it was 2017, when the Texans started 0-3, and then they rattled off like 10 straight wins and got to the playoffs. I was a little nervous that year about my pinky, but it survived another year. I'm happy I didn't pick the Bengals. I'm good.
Were you sufficiently nervous that you actually started to think about how you would go about doing it? Like you would have elective surgery to remove the tip of your pinky, or you would just get a meat cleaver out or slam it in a door? Like, did it get that far where you were actually considering how the tip of your pinky was going to be removed from your body?
It was one of the dumbest conversations I've ever been a part of, like myself feeling dumb. I said to my wife, I was like, yeah, like if the Colts, I gave her a heads up. It was mid-December. I remember vividly, we were walking with my kids, and I was like, just a heads up. The Colts are the team that I have to cut my pinky off, and they're playing really good football right now. And she looked at me and she was like, do you think you can just walk into a hospital and have them remove your pinky? And I was like, yeah, why not? She's like, it doesn't work like that. They're not going, if there's nothing wrong with you, they won't dismember you. And I was like, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. You're right. So I got to think of another way to do this.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.